Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome dear learners. This is a video for the subject of education, for the course of Bachelor's in Education and for the paper of Educational Technology Part 2. This video is based on the emerging technologies and issues in educational technology. And in this lecture, we will be discussing the fundamental elements and characteristic features of the Keller plan or personalized system of instruction, also called as PSI. This video lecture is recorded by Dr. Iram Khan. The course coordinator and the presenter of this video is Dr. Iram Khan from Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. The academic expert or the reviewer of this video is Professor Nasreen Mujib from Aligarh Muslim University, Aligarh. This video is produced under the project DTH Swayam Prabha Channels of Ministry of Education, Government of India. Hello dear students, I am Dr. Iram Khan, Assistant Professor at Institute of Advanced Studies in Education, Faculty of Education, Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. Today we will be having a discussion on the topics related to emerging technologies and issues in educational technology, and this discussion will be based on the Keller plan or personalized system of instruction or PSI, and here we will be discussing the fundamental elements and the characteristic features of the Keller plan or PSI. The objectives of this session are to discuss the fundamental elements of personalized system of instruction or PSI, or also called as the Keller plan. Then to elaborate the characteristic features of personalized system of instruction or PSI or the Keller plan. So according to the Keller plan, the effective instruction should incorporate certain principles. And here there are 5 principles of the personalized system of instruction or the Keller plan. Let us try to discuss all these principles. The first principle says that there should be written material or the principle of written materials. So the primary presentation of new content should be through written texts, given in the form of media available at the time when the Keller plan was basically being developed. There were various forms, and those forms were the lectures, the movies, the audio recordings, even the television and radio were present, and also they were printed or the paper-based texts. So paper-based texts gave the students the greatest freedom. Books and the texts which are in the form of printed text, they were portable and can be read at a person's own pace, and can be started and stopped at any time, can be easily reviewed, and can be marked by the reader. Like if a teacher is or the reader who is reading the text is willing to mark anything, that was also easier in the case of the written text. As an application of behaviorism, the Keller plan was meant to maximize the number of operant behaviors that could be reinforced. This could best be done with written materials rather than in the form of any other material. So we can see that the learner uh, can become a passive observer in other forms of media. But in case of the printed material or the text material, the learner will be actively involved in the reading process, and even the markings and all those things the learner is going to do. So that is why the first principle, which is encompassing this Keller plan, is about the written materials. Then the next is the units of the content. So the subject matter should be broken down into certain meaningful units, separate meaningful units. These units could have various kinds of relationship. For example, the first unit should provide the prerequisites for making the second or the following unit understood. So in simple words, we can say that the first unit is going to correspond the second unit. So whatever we are going to teach or we are going to study in the first unit is going to be useful for understanding the next unit or the second unit. And then likewise, the second unit could provide deeper elaboration of a preceding unit. So maybe the second unit is going to give more details or assistance in the reading of the third unit. So in this case, we can say that all the units are corresponding to each other. And in any case, the specific learning objectives should be definable for each discrete unit of content. So the unit of contents should be very much linked with each other, and the judicious distribution of content of the entire subject matter should be done so that the first unit should correspond to the second and second to the third, and likewise the entire subject matter should be divided. Then the next principle is related to self-paced instruction, which is somehow the essence of the personalized system of instruction. Here the students should be allowed to advance through the course material at their own pace. While an instructor or the teacher might specify the order in which the learning units are completed, the learners should decide when and what rate they learn. What would be the pace in which they have to go ahead and learn. So learners could move through a course as quickly or slowly as they choose to. So it would be the discretion of the learner that what would be the pace of their learning. The next principle is related to unit mastery. So students must satisfy a mastery requirement in one unit before proceeding to the next. As we have seen in the previous unit or the previous case of the principle where units of contents were seen. So we require to have mastery in the first unit before moving to the second units. In the same way, this unit mastery, this principle of unit mastery says that students must satisfy a mastery requirement in one unit before proceeding to the next. And in case of this division of units in program system of instruction, we have more than one equivalent form of assessment. So the mastery has been gained or not is going to be assessed by various means and methods. For example, there will be three quizzes of equal difficulty or three primary sources or data sets to be analyzed. So the students must demonstrate mastery of a unit's objectives to a certain level of quality. If the student does not reach the threshold, they are redirected to unit materials, the other materials which they have to go through. So there can be supplement material, or there can be certain instructions which will be provided that if you are not in a position to answer this particular question, then please move to or refer to so and so part of the unit or the previous unit, and then they can take an equivalent form of the unit assessment, and if they pass that unit assessment, then they can move to another. So from the point of view of behaviorism, demonstrating mastery and being allowed to continue to a subsequent unit was presumed to be reinforcement. But like we can say that in case of reinforcement, there is some sort of motivation which is given. So here also, once the student is allowed to move from one unit after gaining mastery to the second unit, we can say that somehow the reinforcement is also provided in the form of allowance of moving from one unit to another to the student. Then the next principle is the principle related to the proctors. And here I'm talking about the human proctors or the human evaluators. You can say that those people who oversee the entire process. So the human proctors are an important part of the Keller plan. The proctor can be an external person to the course. Uh, this person can be an adult or a peer member who is brought in to the course from the external sources, or it can be an internal proctor. Uh, this internal proctor can be the advanced students in the course who are doing well. They have completed all units to that particular point and have good interpersonal skills. So these students can also be the proctors. So the proctors were the students or those people who have got mastery in that particular unit. They would certify the mastery, they would discuss the areas of weakness and direct the students to the next units. So in terms of the behaviorist philosophy or behaviorist psychology, where we always are concerned about the bringing of the conditioned behaviors under the control of natural reinforcers. Interactions with the proctors were presumed to provide natural social reinforcers that encourage the learning behaviors and perseverance in the course. So even in case of such type of courses, uh, we can see that at times once we are done with the assignment or whatever uh, assessment question is given to us, if we have completed the assignment very properly, the system will ask us to evaluate few of the assignments of our peer group members, and this is going to be marked. So if we are doing the assignment corrections, the checking of the assignments and giving the feedback, that is also being evaluated. So even course the participant of a course can become the proctor in few of the cases. So this is something which is allowing a lot of liberty to the course developer, because this course developer can take the help from the advanced students also. So this is somehow a very nice feature of this Keller plan or program system of instruction. So these were the five principles. The first principle, the written materials, related to written materials, then units of content, then unit mastery, self-paced instruction, and the principles related to the proctors. So, if we try to compare the personalized system of instruction with the traditional teaching, we can see that in case of traditional teaching, there is same pace and different learning, which is the key factor. But in case of the PSI, uh, basically it advocates different pace, same learning. So the pace is decided by the learner itself. The learner is going to take hold, or is going to decide that what will be the pace in which this person is going to study the same content which the peer group member is going to study in a different pace. So a traditional course might have all students follow the same weekly lectures, exercises, activities, and any other thing which is given as the part of the course. And then they will sit and give the end of the course exam at the same date, but possibly with huge variation in learning outcomes, because we can see that once the exam results come of the traditional type of courses, there are few students who have achieved more than 90%, or uh, they are going to get distinctions, but there will be few students or a group of students who are weaker ones. They would have just achieved 55% or 50% marks. So in a course which is going to run according to PSI or the Keller plan, all students must pass a high threshold of achievement on each module within the course. For instance, every student, because everything will be self-paced and they can revisit the units which are given, so every student at least is going to get the 90% marks or whatever is decided by the course developer. If the course developer has decided that 80% is the passing marks of my course, then at least 80%. Or in few of the cases, even I have seen in the courses uh, which are actually developed by John Hopkins University or any other such type of university, the passing marks are 90%. So that much is to be achieved by every student, either a weak student or a very high achiever student, because the course, this personalized system of instruction, provides the liberty to go back and forth and study the material which is provided to the best extent, and then they give the assessment or the exam and achieve that much marks. If 90% is the passing marks, then you have to achieve the 90% marks, and then only you will be in a position to move to the next part of the course. So the difference between weak or the strong students would then be uh, like it is going to elope. So even the weaker students are going to get the same type of marks as the stronger ones, because everybody is getting the time according to their own capability, their own need, and then they can finish the course either quicker, or if they need more time, they can actually linger on reading or studying in the course. So this is somehow decided by the student itself. More time, if a weaker student wants more time, she can take it. If the student who is very much advanced, if she can pursue the course in less time, that is also allowed. So this one is somehow a very democratic system of studying or learning, because it is personalized, and it has got a lot of liberty given to the course taker. So the Keller plan, or the personalized system of instruction, is distinguished with some of its major characteristics. And these characteristics are somehow important in terms of giving a basic feature which is very much innate to the programmed system of instruction, or the Keller plan. So let us try to see that what are those features, those important characteristics which the PSI or the Keller plan encompasses. So the first one is the introduction of the personal element. This name PSI, or the personalized system of instruction, basically it gives a total personal touch to the process of instruction, and it is already innate in the name of PSI. So personalized system of instruction. Here the learners are served in their personal capacities, face to face and one by one, by the teacher or the proctors. And there is more emphasis on the personal social relationship between the teacher and the taught or the student in comparison to the traditional method of instruction. So the personalized touch, or the personal touch, is the first element which we can say that is to be considered the most important characteristic feature of the Keller plan. So the next element is the mastery learning. In case of the personalized system of instruction, basically the entire system aims for attaining mastery level on the part of each and every student, regardless of the student's relative standing in the class. Either the student can be a weaker student, or a very up-to-date student, but here we are going to attain mastery on both of the students' part. So here a student tries to go independently on the path of learning, and the student strives hard to gain complete mastery over the subject matter of a particular curriculum or a unit. This student is allowed to take the task of the next unit and is assigned grade or rewarded only when the student has got the required mastery over the previous unit, and not an account of the relative position in the class. So basically, position is not at all important here. Here, the importance is given to the mastery which is gained by every student. Every student on his or her own pace or capability is going to attain the mastery, and that is the most important thing which is taken care of here in the program system of instruction. The next feature is the feature related to self-pacing. Here we can see that the Keller plan allows all the learners of a group or the class to proceed on the path of learning according to their own pace, depending upon their background, the capabilities which they have, the abilities, the level of aspirations, and the motivational levels. And there are many other factors which can be the part of the system of this particular student. So the particular student takes a curriculum unit for the required study, works on it, and when the student thinks that now uh, there is the required mastery which is gained, then this student can undergo the related unit test. So once the student feels that now I'm fine with the entire material, then only the student will be taking this unit test. And once the student will pass this test, then only the student can proceed to work on the successive curriculum units. And in this way, the student may not um, have an account, like the student is not going to suffer on account of the excessive or slow speed of the teacher or the fellow student, as in this traditional method of classroom teaching, where the slow learners are bound to lag behind and the bright ones are bored. So because nobody is getting affected by the pace of any other student, so it will be a liberated process where everyone is going to take the course on his or her own pace according to the level in on which, or the capabilities which are encompassed by the student. So this is something which is very important. So this is the element which is considered to be a very important element of the Keller plan. Then the provision and the emphasis on the written work. Written work is given a lot of emphasis in the Keller plan. We can see, if we go ahead and do any course which is according to the personalized system of instruction, we can actually see it very properly that a lot of emphasis is given on the written work. And we can see that in some of the traditional methods of instruction, uh, a lot of emphasis is even given on the oral exams. But here, everything which is being assessed, most of the times the written assignments are taken. So the subject matter is presented before the learner in written form. The instructions are also provided to the learner in writing, and there are study guides or kind of study material which is available to the learners for guiding them on their path of learning, which is again in written form. And in nowadays, like we can find the courses where there are videos. So with the written material, there are videos which are recorded by the course developer or the co-teachers, because in every course there will be many teachers, there will be many proctors or the students. So there will be clips or explanatory videos which will be the part. So the students are going to click on the videos, they will listen to the videos, they will view the videos, and then they will move ahead and go with the written material. So the written instructional material is available in various forms and styles. They can be in the form of a program text, in a form of ordinary text, summarized briefs, specially designed curriculum units, self-learning modules, and in case there are videos, then the it will be depending on the course developer, that if she is developing a video related to it, that can also be the part of this particular system. And for helping a particular learner to make the use of all these material according to his or her need, the teaching learning situation, all these things will be properly instructed. So the students are provided with written unit tests for testing their acquisition of mastery over the learning task. So whenever the assessment is going to be taken, either it will be in the form of the MCQ test or the written assignments will be given, but they have to perform some of the things related to that particular subject matter in the form of written assignments, and then only they will be moving ahead. So this is the again a very important characteristic feature. So the next feature is related to limiting the use of lecture or oral communication. In case of the personalized system of instruction, attempts are made to reduce the importance of the lecture method and verbal communication. In the traditional method of instruction, usually we find a lot of lecture-based dominating type of classes where a lot of verbalism can be seen. So the entire scene of the teaching learning process is dominated by the lecturing. The students are made to listen, or in some of the cases watch the demonstration work carried out by the teacher. And somehow all these processes which are happening, uh, the teacher is working and the students are very much passively seeing or listening to the entire thing. But in this case of personalized system of instruction, this type of passive transformation of message or information is not allowed. The lectures, demonstrations, and the verbal communications are allowed to the extent of playing the role of a motivator, instructor, or guide rather than acting as a source of critical information or knowledge by the course developer. So here the use of multimedia is encouraged for the appropriate flow of communication and for getting in touch with a variety of learning sources on the part of the individual learners. So we can see a lot of material in the form of videos, but they are also somehow going to motivate the students. So they are not passive videos if the videos or the multimedia is being used. So in PSI, a learner is free to make use of all types of audiovisual presentations. They can go for making different models, graphic materials, pictures. They can also make use of films or tapes or teaching machines, computers, or any other such device as a source of learning and also as a mode of intercommunication. In few of the cases, I have seen that uh, the assessment was requiring a kind of interview with somebody, and if we are taking an interview and then we are writing the script of that interview here in the assignment, we need to record the video or the audio of that particular interview. So there is a requirement of a recorder. So it happens and it depends on what type of assignment or what type of activity is being done. So it depends on the student and also the activity that what type of device the student is going to use here to complete the assignment or to do the activity which is desired by the course developer or the teacher or the proctor here in the course. The next is the provision of appropriate reinforcement. In case of the Keller plan or the personalized system of instruction, basically it makes provision for timely and frequent reinforcement to the individual learners. The individual learner is free to work on the assigned learning units with his or her own pace, and the learner is also free to test um, the comprehension and the mastery level through the unit test as and when it is desired by the learner. So when the learner feels that now I am done with the studying and I can go for the test or the assessment, the learner is allowed to go for it. The feedback which is provided by the result of this test provides the learner the adequate reinforcement. So if I'm a learner and I'm getting 90% marks, automatically I'll get the positive reinforcement. But in case I am getting some sort of 50% marks or 55% marks, then I will be a little bit negatively reinforced, and then I have to work again on the unit in which I have to give the test again, and I have to get the marks which are desired by the course. So there is no restriction of any kind, or there is no any kind of terms, or there is no any time schedule or frequency for taking these tests and getting the knowledge about the progress or the learning path. Even in case a student is taking the test multiple times, then also the percentage or the marks which the student is going to gain at the end is not affected. So it is not at all that if you are taking the test multiple times, and suppose a student has taken the test for the first time and gained 90% marks, then also this 90% is going to be counted. But if another student is taking multiple tests, multiple time the same test, and at least 5 times she gives the test and then she gets 90% marks, the second student is also 90% and the first student is also the 90%. So this learning path, the frequency of giving the test, everything is basically liberated, and it is up to the student that how she or he is going to take up the entire process. In this way, we can actually say that the personalized system of instruction is very much capable of providing sufficient reinforcement and feedback to the individual learner, both in terms of frequency and appropriate timings. Somehow it gives a cue that where I'm lacking, where I have to study more, and what are the points which I have to revisit. And then I need to give the test for the second time. And if I am getting for the first time, if I have got 55% marks, and second time if I get 70% marks, automatically I'll get some positive reinforcement, and then I will be reinforced enough to go and study and give the exam for the third time and gain the 90% marks. So in this way, there is appropriate reinforcement which is given by the system itself to the learner. The next characteristic feature is related to the use of the proctors. This is a distinctive feature of the personalized system of instruction. Uh, this is its mechanism, and why this mechanism is actually in place, because it utilizes the services of the student leaders known as proctors in helping the student learners attain the mastery over the given subject. So these proctors are those students designated as such who, in spite of their average abilities, acquire mastery over the curriculum, the contents, much earlier than the other fellow learners. So they are given the necessary guidance and training for supervising and guiding the learning path, or they can follow the advice of the course developer, and they can actually supervise the learners, the other learners. So they provide a big helping hand to the teacher for meeting the big requirements of PSI, because in case of the Keller plan or personalized system of instruction, because a lot of assessment work is to be taken care of, and a lot of students are there, and every student is having separate and individual needs. So if there are proctors in the form of these advanced learners, then it becomes a very easy and swift process for the teacher. Otherwise, it will become a difficult thing to handle for the single teacher. So the face-to-face, one-to-one interaction and personal guidance is only possible through a sizable group of proctors. So they provide very much help in the task of tutoring, providing personal social contact, then also in terms of making assessments like taking the unit test, then immediately scoring it. We can make an automation in case of MCQs and all, but in case of the written assignments or the assignments which are subjective in nature, there is a requirement of immediate scoring, and a human being is required in this case to do the scoring. So providing timely feedback, reinforcement and encouragement, as well as motivating the individual students for raising their performance level to the set mastery level. So all these tasks can be done in an effective way only with the help of the fellow students, which are the part of the personalized system of instruction as the compulsory part. So this is the next characteristic feature. Reducing the problem of wastage and stagnation is the next characteristic feature. In PSI, the stress is laid down on the acquisition of the set mastery level by the individual learner. So there is no time limit which is fixed for the attainment of all this entire process. When one person attains this level with regard to the learning of a particular unit, then only this person is permitted to proceed further on the subsequent unit. And in this way, for an individual learner, the learning is almost continuous. This learner does not have to waste any time for the sake of others. So if I have done my task, I am already done with the entire reading, I can move ahead. I don't have to wait for my fellow students. So in this way, the learning process goes on continuously. Whether the teacher or the fellow students are not aligned, then also I can move ahead. If I am done, I can move ahead. So here in this case, there is no any repeating, or there is no any waiting for any of the classmates or any of those the lectures or anything. So particular time or the particular class goes on with the pace, and there is no any wastage of time, or there is no any repetition or unnecessary lingering on. So in this case, even if I am done with all the units, I can go for the annual or semester examination, and I can actually complete the course much ahead of my other fellow classmates. So if I am very well learned and I'm just in a position to give the exams in after 1 month or 2 months, if this is a 6 months course and I am in a position to give the exams, the final exams in 2 months, it is also allowed, but it is not allowed in case of the traditional system of instruction. So in this way, the personalized system of instruction helps in reducing and checking the ill effects of the problem of wastage and stagnation faced by the learners in the traditional system. In the traditional system, we cannot move ahead if the fellow students are not in a position to complete, or if suppose that the course is of 6 months, then we have to actually do the course in 6 months only. But in this case, in case of the Keller plan, we can complete the course in whatever time we are required, like we required, and we can actually complete the learning and the assessment. So it is up to us. So there is no any wastage of time or stagnation involved in this personalized system of instruction. Now we come to the role of the teacher. In case of the PSI, it requires a significant change in the role of the teacher as played by this teacher in the traditional system of instruction. Here, the teacher does not merely remain a source of information. Basically, the role of a teacher is not confined to the imparting of knowledge and the information to the students. Rather, this teacher is required to provide individualized and personalized instruction to the students. So in this case, the role of the teacher actually goes on in a very different direction. So mere lecturing or demonstrating the things in the class does not meet the requirements of this type of instruction. This teacher has to arrange for suitable learning material, learning environment, timely and frequent reinforcement and the feedback to all the individual learners, and add a personal social element in the teaching learning process. The teacher is supposedly to act as a capable manager of the learning task carried out by all the students, and in this way the responsibilities of this teacher as a teacher are basically greatly enhanced. It is the responsibilities are greatly enhanced here in this personalized system of instruction. So somehow a little bit more work is to be done by the teacher if the teacher is willing to give the course or the content in the personalized system of instruction. This was all about the characteristic features. Let us try to summarize what we have studied today in today's session. We have seen the 5 principles of the personalized system of instruction, and we have also seen the different characteristic features which are related to the Keller plan or the PSI. And here we have seen that there are a number of elements and the characteristics which can be seen as the part of the PSI. What are those? We have seen that there are many, like the capability of providing a total personal touch to the process of instruction, then aiming for attaining mastery learning on the part of every student, then the element related to the self-pacing, provision and emphasis on the written work, limiting the use of lecture or oral communication, then the provision of appropriate reinforcement, and also reducing the problem of wastage and stagnation, and use of proctors. And also we have seen that the role of the teacher, it is somehow increased. The teacher is a kind of facilitator, the manager, or the person who is actually taking charge of the entire teaching learning process in this particular system. So in this way, we can say that the personalized system of instruction is somehow very different from the traditional system of instruction. And in In many cases, we can see that it has proved to be very useful for the learners who are having difficulty to go with the traditional system of instruction. So in those cases, it can be a boon for the learners. These are few of those references and the suggested further readings which can be seen for knowing more about the personalized system of instruction or the Keller plan. I hope that you will go through the material and know more about the system, which is very much useful in the present context. For today, this much is enough, and we will see each other for another session another time. Thank you so much. Dear learners, you were watching a video on emerging technologies and issues in educational technology, and this lecture was based on the Keller Plan or Personalized System of Instruction or PSI, and we have seen the fundamental elements and the characteristic features of PSI. This video lecture was recorded by faculty at home during the homebound situation of COVID-19 pandemic using minimal technical resources. Technical errors, if any, are unintentional and may please be ignored. For any queries with regard to this lecture or broadcast, kindly send your email to techsupport@dth.ac.in. Thank you so much.